Thanks, ladies. 5.6, Council's March Performance Report. Mr. Gareth Green.
I'll start off, Your Worship, but I'll be relatively brief. And I'll be brief because what we're doing this month, which is slightly different to previously, is I've got my group managers here who will walk you through the majority of the report. I think some of them were upset that they weren't having enough to say through the meeting, so we've given them this opportunity to take that opportunity. If you ask him some questions, he may well do. I guess just in terms of emerging challenges and the key things, we've just spoken about the building. Obviously that is and will continue to be a major issue for us. So between that and the other project that you've approved today being the work to Ruapehu Street, those are sort of the two key projects that we've got on the books at the moment. Other than that, I won't steal the thunder of the group managers who will walk you through the document.
Okay, so who have we got first?
Okay, I'll start with the council financials. We continue to have a good year. Activity levels are such that the operating revenue is well ahead of budget. Expenses remain under control, and as you see, we are currently forecasting a year-end position of just over 8 mil compared with the 4.4 budget. In saying that, we have not included any costs that could be incurred this year in respect of relocation, because until council makes a decision in that regard, it's not up to us to forecast any expenditure. If we move to the next page, that gives you a better breakdown of the areas that revenue is ahead of plan, and once again, all I can say is it's been a damn good year.
So the surplus has mainly come about by the operating revenue?
You've got $1 million or so in development contributions, but really in the activity levels you got your fees and charges that are up significantly. We have done rather well in the investment area, but we'll talk about that when we get to the Treasury Management Report. And basically we've been able to do that within existing staffing numbers, which is quite a major achievement.
Great. Signs of a busy district. All right. Any questions of Alan? Okay. We'll go next to community services. Is that right?
I'll kick off that one, Mr. Chair. I wasn't one of those group managers who was looking to have more significant speaking rights, but I lost that vote. Really, from the community services page, it's basically Alan and I. My areas in terms of emergency management, community engagement, etc. A couple of things there that I did clarify for you about the insurance payment that you raised previously. You'll also see their revenue from fires, which we're still looking to square away before the new entity comes into play. Of that 126k, there is one significant fire that we are looking to recover costs on. Everything else is pretty much business as usual.
Thank you, Ron.
Some of those costs from fires that are trying to be recovered, were they fires that are along Acacia Bay Road? I think there's one there from memory. I think the main one is at Ohaki, the significant one.
Could I also, Mr. Chairman, take the opportunity to congratulate Mr. Fox on his blog. I think was this week in regards to the cyclone that we're expecting. I think the points that you made were very, very valid, and it's very nice to know that we've got a good team ready in an emergency.
Thank you, Councillor.
So can I just add to that, as the Emergency Management Chair and along with the Mayor, we got to attend the incident briefings and be part of the conference calls and whatnot with the EOC team, and along with the stakeholders with fire and the police and everything else, and it was a fantastic experience. There are really good relationships in there, and all the personality mixes are right. I think everyone is very resilient and patient and communicates really well, and I think it showed that we are resilient, but there are a few sort of weak spots around when there are events happening, and we've got staff in other areas that perhaps we need to look at how we are more resilient in our own patch because if it wasn't a weather event but a sudden event, it would have had different implications. But the silver lining was we didn't have to worry, but it was a really worthy exercise to have to go through. So you've got a great team, Mr. Fox.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, Councillor Park. Well spoken. All right, any other questions of Mr. Fox? No? Okay, we'll go through to water.
Right, I'll get this one. Yep, thank you. Again, I don't know which GM's asked for extra speaking rights because it wasn't me either. But so development contributions in the water, there's an increase of 440k there, and that's due to a large number of subdivisions coming online. That's Brentwood, multiple stages there, the Neil Group, which is radio station, and Kinloch Loch Eagles, plus a whole lot of smaller sites. Then there's 671 variants in subsidies and grants. This is basically due to timing. We haven't started the Waitanui water project yet, so therefore no Ministry of Health funding has come through. The Waitanui tender will be ready to go out to the 3 selected contracting companies by the end of this week, and the tender will close at the end of May. And then the only other thing to note for water is the backup onshore park water bore will be in place by December.
Good, thank you, Kevin. Any questions or queries? Councillor Collins.
Just a quick question from me, Mr. Strongman. The Waitanui Water, the Ministry of Health subsidy, is there a time limit on that, on when we have to use it? Does it expire?
Through the chair, I'm unaware of it, but as long as we keep them up to date, they've generally been fine in other ones that I've had to deal with.
Okay, thank you. Sometimes they come with caveats.
Onshore park water is happening. Sorry, I'm quite...
Yes, so there's been a third bore been drilled, and it's come back with some adequate, we'll call it adequate water quality, and it's capable of being the backup bore for what's up there at the moment. This is not a long-term solution though. We will have to look at alternatives further down the track.
Thanks, Kevin. Any questions? Any further questions? No? We'll just go. Okay, transportation. What is that?
I'll do that one again. So again, there's increased projected revenue from DCs. Hooker Falls footpath, the tender document is in its final review and will go out the end of this week. The Whariwaka to Rambo Point project will follow the Hooker Falls project. And just to note that all the reseals and renewals are on track to be completed.
Good. Any queries on transportation reseals? All roads sealed in the district, are they, Kirsty? Fair enough.
Okay, so just Kevin is probably really noting that we have had a couple of issues with some reseals at the moment, which you may be hearing about. So 2 in particular, I think, which is the Control Gates Hill and Miro Street. And we're currently working with the contractor in terms of finding a solution to those, which will be at the contractor's expense and issue. Yeah.
So with we got some bad weather coming, we expect to do something on that next week.
Just didn't last, did it?
It just didn't last, yes.
No.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Community facilities.
Right, so Kevin and I will tag team this. I'll just go first. This is made up primarily of our venues, libraries and parks and reserves. The major revenue is generated through the pools. So, I mean, with the bad weather, we had quite an exceptional year through all our pools, which are 3. So that's created definitely increase in revenue, and we're well ahead there. Just some interesting facts for you, I guess. The swim school has got a waiting list of 300. So I think the swim ball programme that we've been running in conjunction with Contact has obviously picked some interest there. But I do think probably got families moving to town which should take advantage of that. So it's a bit of a challenge for us actually how we manage that, because 300 is quite a lot. Yeah, project-wise, we've just flipping over the page, we've got some performance measures there, particularly some of them are out of control, particularly around the sporting events. We only need to grab a couple more, I guess, and we'll hit our target. But that's obviously generated by the market out there rather than us. If there's any questions on that particular project around Otamaheki Stream, I'll let Kevin respond to that.
Yeah, so just an update on Otamaheki Stream. We've got some concept drawings for the toilet block. They look really good. But we're also waiting for some concept drawings of the work we're going to do around by the stream edge. Once we've got all that together, we'll probably put that in a report back to council probably next month.
Councillor Williamson.
Just through the chair, it's probably quite nice to acknowledge Contact's contribution to Sawmill with its next $100,000 over the next 2.5 years.
Yep.
Yes, I think probably Councillor Rose St. John's is part of that sort of negotiation.
Very, very well received, and I know a lot of young kids have benefited from that program. Of course, the big wide lake out here is most necessary. The kids can swim.
Yes, through the chair, the one thing, just following on from Mr. Ridd, the one thing that you're probably going to have, we suggest that you have a think of through the long-term plan will be that swim school and how you run that generally, and that we do have that waiting list of 300 kids that simply can't get in at the moment. You could accommodate them all, but it would require a whole lot more staffing to get instructors on to do it. So that's the sort of discussion that we'll be encouraging you to have in terms of how we resource for that, to be able to get the increased income, but also to be getting people through the swim school.
Yes, so someone will work on that?
It'll be part of your LTD discussion.
Okay, cool.
What do they pay a fee?
Yep. Yes. Yep. Subsidised by the contact sponsors.
By the ratepayer, so we do a set amount at the moment, and we're capped out. So we've got a waiting list of 300. So the question is, do you want to refigure that as part of a long-term plan? Because obviously there's a demand there at the moment, but as a business, we're having to turn people away essentially.
Some new balls.
Shame.
Probably not so much the floor space as it is about the teaching.
That's it.
Okay.
Council,
all right.
the pool on
Thank
top.
you very much, gentlemen. Community facilities, that's what I said. Wastewater.
Yeah, there's so wastewater again. There's an increase in DCs. Seems to be a common theme. Obviously, subdivisions play into all of the core infrastructure. The other two projects that are highlighted, red and amber, they've been well articulated previously. So Turangi and Kinloch.
Okay. Any questions, Kevin, on the wastewater? All right. Solid waste.
So solid waste, the only thing I really want to make mention of there is we've been tracking consistently about 2,000 to 2,200 tonnes per month, except for February, which was well down on 1,700. We can only assume that most people were on holiday or others there. But we do project to be at 25,300 tonnes by the end of this year. So that's an increase of 4,000 tonnes or about 2 months. That's due to good economic times and people buy more and create more rubbish.
Thanks, Kevin. I just say I visited the dump yesterday, on the weekend actually. What a fantastic setup it is. The guy out there, I think it's Shane is the guy's name, he is incredible. He helps so many people up there, and I tell you what, whoever the contractor running it is, they did a fantastic job, and it's a very tidy, neat operation. And I was in disguise too, a hat and sunglasses and a waistcoat on. So anyway, all right. Stormwater.
Chairman, just ask the question.
Councillor Body, sorry.
What do you think is going to happen around at Kinloch? It's high use. Will there be recycling? Kinloch?
Maybe Gareth can help me on that one, sorry.
What was the question, sorry, Councillor Body?
In regards to the solid waste report, it talks about Kinloch having extra use.
Dennis is going to make a cameo.
What's happening is, during the holiday period, with the buildings happening out there and the increase in population, the size of the transfer station at certain peak times is getting a bit smaller, and we're getting flow of traffic out onto Taupo-Kaingaroa to Turangi-Tongariro, and how we can manage that site so we can get all of the demand within the site rather than flowing out the road.
Is the site, Mr. Chairman, big enough to handle an expansion?
That's what we're looking at.
Thank you.
I think there's, how many new builds at the moment? 47 new builds? Yeah.
The highest number of buildings.
All right, thank you, Dennis. Where were we? Stormwater.
Yeah, there's no exceptions to report on stormwater.
Straightforward. Democracy in planning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll probably start with the democracy piece, and really it is business as usual. There's no significant variances to budget. We did report previously on the official information requests and the fact that we had not responded to one within the time frame that we've maintained. The fact we have with all the others. Really, in terms of the policy stuff, I'll leave that to Alan or Nick if they want an update in terms of that.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Fox. Alan, Nick, planning.
You've been pretty much involved in a lot of these consultations and changes to policy plans and bylaws, but have you got any specific questions on any of these? Nick's here to answer.
Okay, flood management plan that's all going to plan, is it, Nick? Yep.
Looking at coming to you in probably the June meeting for all adoption notifications.
Right. Cool.
Through the chair.
Reasonable topical subject at the moment, so it's good timing, I think. Councillor Williamson.
I'd just like to acknowledge another acknowledgement. Nick and Sue Maver doing a presentation of the presentation of Lakes Water Action Group the other day. Public, getting out in the public and telling the story.
Good.
And same for the freedom camping in the marketplace. Fortnight ago. With Jane and Nick and Sue.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson. Councillor Boddy.
Nick, what's this extreme wave overtopping? What's that exactly?
So you may well remember through a number of workshops we've talked about wave run-up activity. Our discussions with Waikato Regional Council officers have suggested that extreme wave activity is perhaps a better description. So it's the same thing that we've been talking to you about quite some time, just a slight change in the language.
Okay.
Could you just explain the wave run-up thing again? No, that's all right.
Before you get on your surfboard.
Could I just ask that there was no problem specifically with the high water levels that we've been experiencing in the lake?
No substantial issues as far as I'm aware. Clearly there are some ongoing issues at Kuratau no Mori in terms of erosion, and I know the team's certainly looking at that, but in terms of the very high lake level we had recently, I understand that we got off relatively lightly.
So it was through the chair, it was a real concern through the planning that we worked on before for the storm event that we talked about. And in fact, the forecasting that the regional council did at that point indicated a 5 metre increase on the lake level to the maximum that we had. If we'd had that and the winds that were forecasted in the direction that was forecasted, we would have had significant increased erosion, particularly at the southern end of the lake around Kuratau. We had our staff out there, I think, up until about 11 o'clock that night with a truck full of sandbags and sandbagging some of those houses in anticipation. So we did everything that we could in the emergency sense to enable it, but it would have been an issue, definitely.
Could I then ask the question, the 3 properties that were evacuated around Acacia Bay Road, were they evacuated because they were right on the water, or what was the story with those?
So that was as a result of erosion, that was as a result of stormwater, so overland stormwater rather than the lake level.
Because of the heavy rains and things. Thank you.
Yeah, it was also due to access, because the stormwater would take away their access into those properties.
But the properties themselves are legit, licensed, consented properties, aren't they?
Some.
Who then paid for the cost of the evacuation and the accommodation?
Our welfare, as part of the civil defence response, our welfare response included the costs associated with that.
And that's internal monies, not external monies?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Investment.
Well, actually, we'll cover some of this in the Treasury Management Report, but as you can see, the benefits that flow through from gain on sale of properties and for us having a conservative but balanced approach to equity investments.
Any questions of...
No questions, Your Honour.
All right, thank you very much, Alan. Economic development.
Yep, so I guess everyone will agree we're pretty buoyant at the moment in the economy. There's some Oriel are about to turn on their snow machine, I noticed in the newspapers, so that major game play is going to work its way through, I guess, over the next 12 months. And yes, some really exciting times, I guess, at the moment for this town. It's on the cusp of something, I think. Take any questions. I guess the oranges there are things, again, that are out of council's control, but are seen as measures of the economy.
All right, thank you, John. Any questions of John? No? Forward, that's cool. Treasury Management Report.
Okay, as we can see, the OCR is still at 1.75. Inflation was announced at 2% last week. We're starting to see the potential increase in interest rates flowing out from America. The French elections are going to have some sort of impact. Friday is the 100 days for President Trump, and they need to pass legislation to fund the government. If they don't fund it by Friday, then we can see some more vitality, or depends on what side of the fence you're looking at. As you can see, our debt and borrowings is pretty much in line with what Mr Ward responded to Councillor Cousins on earlier. If we look at the second page, the performance report there, a year-to-date return of just over 3% is on our general funds. If you move over 2 pages to the TEL portfolio, you'll see that portfolio is generating 6.92% as an annual return. So that shows part of the ability to increase your yield by being involved in equities, which I know is not altogether favourable with some people, but we only have about 11% of the portfolio in equities, but you can see how you can, by sensible investments, lift your returns from the 3.06 to the 6.92%. The rest of the portfolio is pretty much under control, and with Neil and Jeanette's assistance, the Treasury position of Council is pretty strong at the moment.
Thanks, Alan. Any questions? Yeah, Councillor Buddy.
See, Mr Manhattan has used the word that I don't like. Are you able to advise me what our loss on the Tesco shares to date?
In the current year, the loss is as much related to the currency difference between New Zealand dollar and the Great Britain pound as a result of Brexit, where when we purchased those shares, the exchange rate was 46.1. It's now somewhere around 57. So that has an impact on the New Zealand dollar value of the shares. But just like if someone owns a house, you don't actually make money on it or lose money on it until you sell. It's the same with the Tesco shares.
And through you, Mr Chairman, we've had those shares now for some considerable time.
Yes, and we've been getting dividends off them as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Alan?
Through the Chair, I just once again just endorsed a very prudent management of the financial position of the Council, and you and your team on.
Just clarifying the AA rating, have we had any clarification on that this year yet, or?
The confirmation that the transfer was in May. Our expectation is that it will remain the same.
Thanks, Neil.
Mr Chairman, just on that point, will what we do with this building, that will not impact on the next report, but it may well on the one following, that be correct?
We had our annual review with the committee from Standard & Poor's. We made the information related to the building available, and based on our current financial position, they didn't have any concerns about our credit rating as a result of expenditure required on the building.
So they will take into account in this report the fact that we may spend on a building? Okay, thank you.
Just to clarify, well, so that they're looking kind of both ways, balance up the view of the business.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to your team on that, Alan. Good. All right. Is that about it? That's it. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So we have a suggested recommendation there that the council notes the information contained. Next one. Contained in the council performance report for the month of March. I have a move, please, by Councillor Williamson, seconded by Councillor Drollins. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. And thank you to the management team for all your input. I quite like the variance actually, instead of hearing from Gareth the whole time. Nice to hear from you out of voice, it's good.